السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي أكرمنا وأعزنا بهذا الدين وببعثة سيد المرسلين وجعل له من أصحابه وأعوانه وأصهاره أعوانا ووزراء وخداما إلى يوم الدين. سبحانك يا ربنا لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد الصادق الأمين علم السابقين وقائد الغر المحجلين وشفيع المذنبين وسيد ولد آدم أجمعين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله الغر الميامين وأصحابه نجوم الدين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وعنا معهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. أما بعد, dear brothers, always when I'm asked to speak about a great person, I feel scared, of it, because the reality, whenever you have such a look, you are speaking about your understanding. When you say great person or some, you are faced with a huge and massive matter, spiritually, intellectually, and many other aspects, and you will feel yourself incapable of gathering all these data together. So again, what I'm trying to say, anyone speak about this great person, he speaks about his thoughts about them, not the reality. And the reality is going to be much, much higher than what he thought. Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq, no doubt, one of these great persons. In my view, if he did not do anything except pleasing the Prophet ﷺ many occasions, which by it's a significant role of his ﷺ to keep the Prophet ﷺ happy. And as you may know, that the life of the Prophet ﷺ, especially after the revelation, it contains a lot of difficulties, a lot of obstacles, and a lot of many sensitive matters, and such a position needs this support. I was hesitant to say support, but then I remember the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, because one day, when the Prophet ﷺ needed to send some of his companions as messengers to the other kings surrounding the Arab Peninsula, or in Arab Peninsula also, some of the companions, they said, how come, Ya Rasulullah, you send your people and you forget Abu Bakr and Umar, and they are much better, if you send them. And he mentioned this word, really, I cannot say it if it's not said by the Prophet ﷺ. He said, لا غنى بي عنهما, I cannot stay without them. هما عندي بمنزلة السمع والبصر. They are like my sight, my hearing, and my sight. And this is, and if such a person like the Prophet ﷺ speaks as such, this is for sure. Make yourself back off, and feel that you are not going to stand there, to try to speak, because these matters and these issues, they are beyond our limit of understanding. But this doesn't mean that we are going to forget everything. No, we may try to touch some of these points, to make this well understood for us. And really, this led me, and when I mentioned this hadith, even though the Prophet ﷺ passed away and Sayyidina Abu Bakr was left, after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, for Islam and Muslims, Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq really was in real need. لا غنى بهم عنه, and he was like in the position of their hearing and their sight. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man yuridillahu bihi khayran yufaqqihhu fi din." Since we want to speak about the objectives, it means, and don't misunderstand me, we need our efforts. We should try to work hard, to gain certain degree, in Islamic sciences, But we, as Muslims, we need the help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this hadith, as the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to do good with him is going to yufaqqihhu. Allah make him understand. Yufaqqihhu, this wording in Arabic may mean make him understand his religion. And this is the point I want to stop at. Make him understand. Okay? And this is, as I may say frequently when I speak about إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. This verse in the Holy Quran tells you how we are in real need in all aspects of our religion firstly, and in our life secondly. That we need the two aspects. Firstly, to feel that we are worshippers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even by the good intention. When I eat or drink, when I have the good intention, I'm worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this action. And this component is needed from me, and the other component is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala matter to help me. وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. And here fiqh is the same, and it needs the two aspects. And what has been narrated about Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq, مَا رَأَيْتُ شَيْئًا إِلَّا رَأَيْتُ اللَّهَ قَبْلَهُ. I haven't seen anything in this life without seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before him. For sure, I'm not going to explain this deeply, but this means some of these people, whenever they look at anything in this life, it's going to be through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them know this thing. And that's why in the other hadith, yufaqqihhu fi din, make him understand his religion. And this is for me, I'm quite sure about it. Why? Because we read in Sirah Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq that he never made prostration to any idol. This is before Islam, in all of his life. And this tells us that all of his relation with the other or with the surrounding, it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And such a personality, he may, now I'm not speaking about Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq. I'm speaking about a person who is given this from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He may not be the most educated one. He may not be the most intelligent one, but he has this support from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this really, as Muslims, we need it in all aspects of our life. So here, whether I fully understand and have the ability to bring the examples about it, or not, and whether I have the ability to bring the examples of it or not, I'm quite sure that Sayyidina Abu Bakr had this support from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make him, have the best guidance, not for himself only, for himself, the surrounding and the whole community in his time. For sure, this established, whenever we speak about any person, we speak about his study, his ijazat or whatever. Let's see the studies and the ijazat of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. He joined the Prophet ﷺ for 23 years after prophethood. And he used to be his friend before prophethood. For how many years? For a long time. And as narrated in Tirmidhi, even though the scholars, they have some doubt about this, and even when the Prophet ﷺ traveled to Syria and was 12 years old, The name of Abu Bakr was mentioned there. Okay. So here, this long company for any person, regardless of his education or whatever, what do you think? Is going to affect him? For sure it's going to affect him. It's going to enrich him. It's going to make him of different way. And that's why this long company with the Prophet ﷺ before and after make us easily understand why Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq in many of these critical positions was the only one to stand alone without anyone else. And in many of these occasions you have the old companion, has different opinion or opposite opinion, and you are going to find that the opinion of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was the most accurate one, and the one that should be the decision of it. Besides that, he had some special classes with the Prophet ﷺ. What came to my mind, that he spent 3 days in the cave with the Prophet ﷺ. Do you think they were not speaking, about anything, just keep silent there, and they have some conversations, that they have something in it. He spent 3 days, and he was alone with the Prophet ﷺ without anyone else. We read in Bukhari that the Prophet ﷺ, he used to stay after Isha, spending the night with Abu Bakr, discussing the matters of Muslims. كان رسول الله يصبر وأبو بكر في شؤون المسلمين أو في أمور المسلمين. Even though the Prophet ﷺ did not recommend us to stay after Isha, we should go to sleep right away. For sure, we may not practice this, but here, as an exceptional way, he used to spend not all night, but significant amount of the night with Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. This what came through my mind, about his past, in collecting and being given the education from the Prophet ﷺ. What's about the certificate? Okay, the Prophet ﷺ said, اقتدوا بالذين من بعد أبي بكر وعمر. Okay, and this is very specific one, very specific statement to instruct everyone to get their benefit in iqtida, to follow who? Follow Abu Bakr wa Umar. For sure, we have the most common one, فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِسُنَّتِي وَسُنَّةِ الْخُلَفَاءِ الرَّاشِدِينَ مهديين. Whenever you mention the Khulafa al-Rashidin Mahdiyin, Abu Bakr will come at first, and you have the much more broad statement, أصحابي كالنجوم بأيهم اقتديتم اهتديتم. My companion like stars, whenever you follow or whenever you follow any of them, you are going to be guided. So by this, the Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he started being in charge, even though at these moments he was not the Khalifa. He started to be in charge at the very first and the beginning, of the time after the death of the Prophet ﷺ. All of you, I think you are familiar that when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, this was very shocking moment, for most of the companions, or all of them with few exceptions. And they were not good, in handling the position. Who did handle the position? When Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq came, he was in Al-Awali, like a countryside, of Medina al-Munawwara, and he went all the way to Medina al-Munawwara, and he was the one who pronounced for the others that the Prophet ﷺ passed away. And he recited this verse, وَمَا مُحَمَّدٌ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ أَفَإِنْ مَاتَ أَوْ قُتِلَ انْقَلَبْتُمْ عَلَىٰ أَعْقَابِكُمْ. That the Sayyidina Muhammad is a messenger like the messengers before him, if he eventually died or was killed, are going to convert back. So here you have a chaotic phase in the mosque and in the surrounding of the houses of the Prophet ﷺ after the death of the Prophet, and this was resolved by this khutbah from Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, when he stood up, spoke about it, and gave the verse. And after giving this verse in his khutbah, everyone in the streets of Medina reciting this verse as if it wasn't revealed up till now. For sure, no revelation after the Prophet ﷺ. And this was described by Sayyidah Aisha, the daughter of the Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, that when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, the Muslims, they were in a position like sheep, when you have the sheep in darkness and rainy weather, okay, and they are scattered, and the wolves, they came to them. And this was the position of the Muslims at the death of the Prophet ﷺ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gathered them under the umbrella of supervision of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. She carried on, she mentioned, so there's no problem or no discussion or possibilities whenever they want to speak about any of these matters, except by having Abu Bakr have the answer. Yani you have a lot of questions, a lot of misunderstanding, after the Prophet ﷺ, and usually the answer will come from Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. We mentioned about the first point, very first point, about the death of the Prophet ﷺ. Then you have the second point. They have a lot of discussion or argument. Should we send the army of Usama ibn Zayd or not? And for sure, the Prophet ﷺ, at the last few days of his life, keep asking him, send Usama ibn Zayd, send Usama ibn Zayd. But the companions, they felt that the position changed, the situation changed after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, and they shouldn't send Sayyidina Usama ibn Zayd. And the one who insisted on sending the army was Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. And you are going to find how important, how successful was this look from Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. For sure, what we know about it, and what he said, that I want to follow the commands of the Prophet ﷺ. And this should be a lesson for all of us, that whenever you follow the commands of the Prophet ﷺ, even though it may sound sometimes that it's not the best solution to have, or you may have in your mind something better or whatever, you are going to find the best, in the whatever you decided. And this is what narrated in Bukhari. I would like to mention it, even though it has nothing to do with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, just to remind myself that, and the others, that the people of Medina al-Munawwara, they have a lot of farms, and on many occasions they will not have the ability to work in all of these farms, and they used to have a contract called in Arabic muzara'a. That means they will ask a person to come and take care of this piece of the land, and whatever fruit came from his work, they are going to be shared, by percentage, between them and the worker. And they used to practice it all the time. All of a sudden, a companion called Rafi' ibn Khadij radiallahu anhu, he narrated that the Prophet ﷺ prohibited this contract. Now I'm not here to discuss this, but I'm here to discuss the response of Sayyidina Zayd ibn Thabit. Sayyidina Zayd ibn Thabit, a famous companion and a scholar, he said, we have a lot of benefits, in these contracts, but our benefit is going to be much more when we follow the instructions of our Prophet. See, and here he told us physically and logically, he felt that we should do so. But when he heard prohibition from the Prophet ﷺ doing so, is going to follow the commands, follow the instructions of the Prophet ﷺ, even though in his heart he feels that the other possibility, the other way of handling this matter was much better. See? And this should be our attitude. Nothing wrong, of having this feeling logically, or when you think that this may be more beneficial to me, or this or that. The problem, it comes when you try to make it over the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the command of His message. And this is really, all of you know that this is one of the way that we have Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq come at first, and perhaps for many of us, this is the only person we know of this description. His name is al-Siddiq. What's the meaning of al-Siddiq? Because in many occasions, and all of us, we are familiar with Sirah and Mi'raj, in many occasions, the Prophet ﷺ, when he speaks about something, and this is logically not well understood by the surrounding, the first one to say, Sadaqta ya Rasulullah, or to accept it, or to support the idea, going to be Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, like what happened, in Mi'raj. Okay? Yani here, really we should have our lesson, about this. Why? Because we feel how silly these people, who rejected the idea, because in their time it was almost impossible to, it's impossible to have anyone, travel to Syria and come back over one night. Nowadays, it's possible for the ordinary person to have it. Nowadays, you have it possible for the ordinary person, to go by this way, to travel to Syria and come back within one night, you see. And this, what's given to us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, physically or scientifically, it's too silly to give our opinion or judge the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and judge the comment of the Prophet ﷺ according to what we know. Okay, this is a very important point, I think. And we should learn a lot, from the life of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq in this regard. And you may imagine the position, how the Muslims, they used to be in very critical position after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, and how Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq is going to have one answer after another, supported either by a verse from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the Quran, or by a statement or narration from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I look at this as establishing the way of ijtihad that became more solid and more well recognized later on. Because Abu Bakr as-Siddiq is going to answer, and to best of my knowledge, none of his answer he said, this is my opinion. Okay, he said, قال Allah, so and so, even though before that he's objected from many different persons, and will say قال Allah, so and so, or قال Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this and that. Okay, and by this, I look at him as establishing the way of handling the matter, especially of fiqh and other religious matters, by giving the priority to the Holy Quran and the statement of the Prophet, or the tradition of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nextly, right after it, where we should bury the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some they said next to his minbar, some they said in Baqi', some they said in Uhud, some they said in Bayt al-Maqdis. Sayyidina Abu Bakr said, I heard the Prophet ﷺ saying, whenever any prophet passed away, he should be buried in the same place he passed away at. Okay? And I'm here to tell how you have the answer all the time, coming from Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Then, who Who is going to inherit the Prophet ﷺ? All the relatives of the Prophet ﷺ, they want to inherit. Some of the wives and the others, they want to inherit the Prophet ﷺ. So Abu Bakr said, I heard the Prophet ﷺ say, لا نورث ما تركناه صدقة. We are not going to be inherited, whatever left behind us is going to be as a charity. See? And here, this is happening, within 2 or 3 days, after the death of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay? You have many opinions, about this, and usually Sayyidina Abu Bakr will bring the answer, which convince everyone, subhanAllah. Then, they went to Saqifat Bani Sa'ida, and the Ansar, they gathered there to give bay'ah to Sayyidina Sa'ad ibn Ubadah. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr, again he said, I heard the Prophet ﷺ that this matter should be in Quraysh, not in Ansar. Not in Ansar, this is my word. But the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ هَذَا الْأَمْرِ فِي قُرَيْش. This matter should be, the Amr means the Khilafah should be in Quraysh. Okay? And this is well known. And here in each step, we are going to find Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq has a significant input. And that's what I would like, that's why I would like to mention this story. Perhaps some of you heard me saying it yesterday, but wherever and whenever I go, I would like to say it, because I enjoy it a lot. In one narration, that when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, the bad news started coming to Medina al-Munawwara about those who convert back to kufr from the Arab, most of the Arab, okay, and the hypocritics in Medina. Medina had a lot, or full of hypocritics at that time. They started to attack or do something, okay? And to tell you how serious was this, you see, in one hadith, I forgot perhaps, one of the companions, he said, the wording of Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab was convenient, and the wording of Sayyidina Abu Bakr was convenient. Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab, what did he say in the day of the death of the Prophet ﷺ? He said, the Prophet ﷺ did not die, and he's going to come back, and protect some of the hands and feet. And this companion, he said, this was good. Why? To oppress those munafiqeen. Okay? Yani this, even though it wasn't accurate statement from Sayyidina al-Khattab, but it was too important and too beneficial at that time to oppress the munafiqeen. This for me, tell me how strong and how dangerous they were in Medina al-Munawwara at that time. And they start receiving news, as I said, about the surrounding, about the hypocritics, about the Roman and Persian people that they are going to attack Medina al-Munawwara. They sent the army of Sayyidina Usama bin Zayd, and the Medina is left without any defense, or any army or whatever, any equipment, to defend Medina al-Munawwara. And you may imagine, perhaps I cannot even express about it, how critical was this position. Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq gathered the people, the high among the companions, asking them, what do you think we should do? All of them, they gave him the advice, we should compromise a little bit, we should give up something, okay? He said, this is your opinion? They said, yes. Okay, so he climbed the pulpit and he said, the Prophet ﷺ did not pass away till Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completed the religion. And there is no revelation of the Prophet after the Prophet ﷺ. This is not going to be diminished in my time. When you look at it, this is one of the main establishments in the Muslim history, in the Muslim fiqh, in the Muslim everything, I just keep asking myself, all the time, if Sayyidina Abu Bakr gave up some at that time, What of our religion is going to be left for us nowadays? We sure will not have the Quran, will not have the tradition, will not have anything. Okay? I know that you believe, and I believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. But you cannot deny those people who handle this, by the support of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why I look at this matter, how solid and was well determined Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq, even though he is not that he is too delicate, and have merciful heart, this toughness of Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq at that time make us have this favor today, that you have the Quran available, and you have the tradition of the Prophet ﷺ available, and you have your religion, complete, and you name it, And I think without Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, this was almost impossible to be done, because you are going to find one piece after another gone away. And that's what happened in our religion. Don't get surprised. That's what the Prophet ﷺ said about the practice, not about the knowledge. Okay? Here the knowledge was guaranteed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr get involved in protecting it. Whereas the practice, as the Prophet ﷺ said in another hadith, one after another is going to be gone away. And whenever you have something gone away, the people, they are going to try to hold still, and try to grab strongly, the next one, and gradually is going to get loose, and it's gone away. Oh my God! And then you grab the other one, and you name it. تنتقد عرى الإسلام عروة عروة وكلما انتقضت عروة تمسك الناس بالذي بعدها. And the first one to be gone of this nation was al-amana, the trust. And the last one to be gone from this nation, the prayer, as-salah. And when we look nowadays, and find, not only here, even back in Syria and other places, you have significant portion of the community, they don't pray. You know that we are almost reached the end. the end of the book, we are toward the end, because according to the Prophet ﷺ, this is the last one to be taken away of this community, of his nation ﷺ. And I look at them as a good idea, of comparing, okay? Here, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had the guarantee of keeping the religion, and Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq had this stand, this tough stand, this kept the theory, the theology, up till now until the hereafter. When we have the practice, which is my responsibility and your responsibility, unfortunately, we are not Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, okay? And we start losing the practice one after another. From the early time and up till now. So again, this was very tough decision taken by Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Almost all of the examples that I brought up till now, they were given from the side of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. They are very critical and serious one. And anyone, if you have the equation did not go exactly, perhaps the whole Islam will be destroyed. They are too critical one. And in all of these matters, I mentioned 4 of them or more or less, I forgot, okay? You are going to find that the one who stood there was Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. And the rest, they were against him, in their opinion. And in many other decisions, about his Hulub al-Ridda, how he fought against all of these Arab without giving up of zakah, and you name it, even the initiation of invading Syria and Iraq. And this led me to and subhanAllah, such a person like Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, as mentioned, I'm going to, let me mention it now, that they said whenever he had any problem, he's going to search for it first in the Holy Quran. If he did not find it in the Holy Quran, he's going to look for in the tradition of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. If he did not find it in the tradition, he'll gather the people asking them, have any one of you heard the Prophet ﷺ saying anything about this issue? And we have few examples that some of the Sahaba, they replied that I did hear the Prophet ﷺ saying so. One in inheritance and the other one in something else, I forgot it now. Okay, and in two mas'ala, what narrated to us that Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq took it from the companion. If there's no narration to the Prophet ﷺ, then you would consult all the available high-figure companions surrounding him, and you will come to a conclusion. And that's why this matter of being as such did not work for him only in his life. It was a symbol and a model for the people after him. What do I mean by this? When they were about to give bay'ah either to Sayyidina Uthman or Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib, what was one of the conditions in this bay'ah? That you are going to follow the Holy Quran and the tradition of the Prophet ﷺ and what has been settled by Abu Bakr and Umar. It's just to tell you this way of establishing the fiqh, let's say, and the rules of Islam was well recognized, by the people in this very early times. Yani here, when you speak about Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan, this was year 23 of Hijrah. It wasn't after 100 years or so. And here you found that this has been highly appreciated by these people to feel themselves that such a settlement given by Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Umar in their time, this settlement or this decision, they don't reflect Sayyidina Abu Bakr as a person, did not reflect Sayyidina Umar as a person. They reflected what? The strongest opinion of the whole community, because Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Umar, they used to gather the whole community, and or the whole scholars, in their community, not the whole community, the whole all scholars, in their community, and try to come to a conclusion, or decision in this regard. And this, by itself, by going by this order, was one of the establishment of what we call usul al-fiqh, the essentials of fiqh. All books of fiqh nowadays, without exception, they speak about the same items, al-kitab, al-sunnah, then consensus, which in their time, consensus was by collecting these people and have a conclusion, have a decision, and then qiyas. Okay, what's qiyas? He will think about it, Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, and come to an answer, and this is maybe similar to the qiyas that has been established. You see, these 4 items that we are proud of, essentials of our fiqh according to them, they were established in the time of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. But what was I trying to say? I moved my talk, to this, that Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq was open-minded, to accept everything that he feel may help him, and to reject everything that he feels that it may not help him. What I'm trying to say, you have this battle of Yamama. This happened during the time of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, and you have massive killing, among the companion, especially among the Ansar and among the Qurra. We'll come shortly to speak how the Sayyidina Abu Bakr again collected the Quran, but I did not bring it for this. One of those who were killed there a famous companion called Thabit ibn Qais ibn Shammas. He was killed in this battle, Waqat al-Yamam. The night of that day when he was killed, one of the persons, in the army of Sayyidina Khalid al-Walid, he dreamt about Thabit ibn Qais ibn Shammas, telling him, listen, don't say this dream. I was killed yesterday, and I have an armor, and this was taken away by someone, and come with me, I'm going to show where did he put it. Okay? And you tell Khalid ibn al-Walid to bring it, and when you return back to Medina, you tell Abu Bakr al-Siddiq that I'm going to give this wasiyah. He gave his wasiyah and his dream after his death. He made his wasiyah during that dream after his death. And in the morning, this person told Khalid ibn al-Walid about his dream. And Khalid ibn al-Walid went with him. They have a tent, at the end of the camp. Exactly what he did he dream, last night, okay? And there's a large, what we call it, container or whatever, put there, and Sayyidina Thabit showed him that the armor is under it, it's hidden by this, and Sayyidina Khalid came and lifted up the container and took the armor. Here comes the question. They returned this, this perhaps is of value in their time, and it should be inherited by his family, and there's wasiyah. And here comes that Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq followed the wasiyah of Thabit ibn Qais ibn Shammas after his death. You see how great is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq? I look at him, how great is he when he's guided. ما رأيت شيئا إلا رأيت الله قبله. I haven't seen anything without seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before it. Okay? How great was he in his narrations, whenever they have any dispute, he's going to be the one who brings either the verse or the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And how great was he when he established the essentials, of fiqh, which was what accepted by all scholars, up till now, to best of my knowledge, I don't have any book, without speaking an essential of fiqh, without speaking about the 4 items which was established by Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. But you see in this story, even the dream that, I'm sorry to tell you, nowadays we don't pay a lot of attention to it, and it has its place, in the judgment of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Why? Here, how you imagine it? You have someone to inherit Thabit ibn Qais ibn Shammas. Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq decided to take portion of their inheritance to be paid as will of Thabit ibn Qais ibn Shammas. You got this point? Here you are not speaking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or His Messenger. You are speaking about a right of certain persons. I don't know who are they. I think he has a daughter. I forgot who else he had. He has a daughter, okay? And this daughter, you took a portion of her inheritance to be spent as a money, in whatever way was instructed by Sayyidina Thabit ibn Qais ibn Shammas. And what led me to this was, again, as I read in one of these narrations, the initiation of invading Syria and Iraq was after a dream seen by Sayyidina Shurahbil ibn Hasana. Sayyidina Shurahbil had a dream, and he came back in the morning speaking with Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and Sayyidina Bakr said, that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned something about conquering Syria and Iraq, and I see your dream as the first step, to go further and start our fighting, against these people. See, and what I'm trying to say, that Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq did not leave any possibilities, of getting information or establishing something without taking it. Some of us, they may not feel about dream that it's that important, but when you hear this statement from the Prophet ﷺ, al-ru'ya, the dream, is a message from Allah to His people or to His slaves. That's mean you or me, we may get a message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. After that, speak about one of the most important, and all of these really, and I cannot say, and all of these matters, they are really too important, in the history of Islam, history of legislation, history of Islamic law, and you name it. When he, radiallahu anhu, collected the Quran. And to be fair, this was not his idea. This was the idea of Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab. Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab felt when, as we said in al-Yamama, when Sayyidina Thabit ibn Qais ibn Shabbas was killed, when they had this massive killing, because what happened, during al-Yamama, you see, I don't know how to say it, The life, it was not easy at all. Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq, see how he was exposed to all of these hardship. And one of the hardest matter that he was exposed to, that he sent the first army to Yamama and was defeated. He sent the second army and was defeated. See? Which is, for us, and I'm sorry to say nowadays, as Muslim and Arab, we are defeated all the time, may not mean a lot, for us. But for those people who really, just by small movement, the battle is over. To be defeated in two battles, one after another, really it's a disaster. It means a lot. Okay? Don't compare it with our time. That's what I'm trying to say. Then he sent Sayyidina Khalid ibn al-Walid. Sayyidina Khalid ibn al-Walid led the battle, in I think 2 or 3 before his assignment to go. Just imagine, within 1 year, Sayyidina Khalid ibn al-Walid took the task, to have 3 or 4 battles, against those converts. And when you look at the others, everyone was assigned for one. And this was the last one, because Sayyidina Abu Bakr felt that it needs very, very skillful person, and he sent Khalid ibn al-Walid. And subhanallah, when he sent the second army after the defeated one, he instructed that person, wait for Khalid ibn al-Walid till he come. That person was to have the honor, of the victory by himself, and he started and was defeated. Then came Sayyidina Khalid ibn al-Walid, and on his way he was joined by an Arab tribe called Tayyi. And he figured out, it's okay, to have them with us, to fight against these people, because those enemies, they were very tough, and one of the most skillful one, because they defeated 2 of the armies of Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq. And in the first round, the army of Sayyidina Khalid al-Walid was defeated, and they were about to approach or reach the tent of Khalid ibn al-Walid and his family. And namely, in these old days, the wife of Sayyidina Khalid ibn al-Walid was about to be slave woman, They were about to reach the tent of Khalid ibn al-Walid. Here, those companions, radiallahu ta'ala anhum, Sadatun al-Ansar and others, they shouted at Khalid ibn al-Walid. They said, make us alone. Don't mix us with Tayyi. If they want to fight, let them fight from one side and we'll fight from the other side. Don't mix us together. And we have a problem. We were defeated because we have this mixture, and we should go back, by this, what you call flooding, or whatever, from the other side. Ya Khalid, khallusna. and make us alone. Is it time? I'm not familiar. Just feel free to
9 o'clock.
You're going to have hours.
Okay, and we should have some question before? Or?
Yeah, then maybe 8:50. 10 minutes per question.
So, and when he did so, Sayyidina Khalid, really these brave companions, they showed the miracles at that time. And that's why we have massive killing among them, among the Ansar and among the Qurra. What do you mean by Qurra? The reciters of the Quran. Many of them, they were killed, in this battle, and they changed it to a victory, radiallahu ta'ala anhum wa an nabihim. And this was the problem erupted when they have this massive killing of the Qurra. The idea came to the mind of Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab, and he came to Sayyidina Abu Bakr telling him, listen, I have some concern about Quran, because you have many of these reciters, they are killed, and if we are going to have this in many other different occasions in the future, we are going to lose the Quran, and you should collect the Quran. And the first response was from Sayyidina Abu Bakr, how do you want me to do something which was not done by the Prophet ﷺ? And he said, Sayyidina Umar, this is a good one to be done. And he swayed by Allah. And he kept asking Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq till Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq got convinced, with this idea. And he called Sayyidina Zayd ibn Thabit, was young, in his 20s, I think, or 20s, yes. He was in his 20s, and they said, the Prophet ﷺ used to trust you a lot, and you are the most famous writer of revelation in the time of the Prophet, and we want you to collect the whole Quran. And he said, how come you are going to do, same answer, how come you are going to do something what's not done by the Prophet ﷺ? And Sayyidina Abu Bakr said, Wallahi khair. And keep asking him till شرح الله صدره, يعني they used to judge themselves about the ease that they feel in their heart, whenever you want to take any decision. And he said, Sayyidina Zayd, if they ask me to move a mountain from one place to another, will be much easier for me than collecting the Holy Quran. And I went with the task, and he collected the Quran. And this, the idea, which was, even though the one who brought the idea is Sayyidina al-Khattab, but it was handled and taken by Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq. And he is the pioneer to collect the whole Quran, in one place. And this is we have this luxurious, matter nowadays, because of that effect was happened during the time of Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq. Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq in his time, we'll have some long discussion, some differences, with some opinion. And don't feel from what I brought to you that he used to be dictator. Completely the opposite. He used to listen to the others a lot. And I'll give you this story about it. One day, two high figures, leader of two large tribes, of Arab, they came to Sayyidina Abu Bakr. Uyayna ibn Husn and Aqra ibn Habis. And they said, listen, we want this land, large land, we want this land to be given to us. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr know that the Prophet ﷺ used to give them whatever they want. Why? Because, this out of the intelligence of the Prophet ﷺ. Rather than fighting these people with large number, he used to please them, by some of these matters, to make it easy on Muslims. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, out of whatever has been practiced during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, he wrote a book, or a letter, wrote a letter for them, mentioning that this has been given to Uyayna ibn Husn and Aqra ibn Habis. And as in these old times, whenever you have such an important document, you should have a lot of witnesses on it. And I forget now, perhaps they asked, or Sayyidina Abu Bakr asked, he said, go and have the signature of Umar ibn al-Khattab as a witness of this. They took it to Umar ibn al-Khattab. He said, this is nothing. And he just erased everything and said, no, we are not going to get anything. The Prophet ﷺ used to give you because the Islam was weak in these days, you know. Nowadays we are of no need of you, and go and fight whatever you want to do. They got surprised. What's going on? Who is the head? Who is the chief? Who is the Khalifa? And they went back to say, now Abu Bakr telling, are you the Khalifa or Umar ibn al-Khattab? What did he answer? He said, the Khalifa is Umar if he wants. The Caliph of Islam, if he wants, okay? And he really he cancelled the first letter that he wrote, you know, to these two persons. Here, why did I bring this story? Just to tell myself and everyone that he was not of those people close-minded, you know, they are well-educated, you know, and they will feel that their knowledge is the best and they're not going to listen to anyone. No. So even though Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq, supported by Allah and has one of the best knowledge ever, yet he used to hear and listen to everyone. Okay, and we have some other, again, the collection of the Quran, again, this was not his idea. He listened to Sayyidina al-Khattab, he tried to think about it, and when he found that it's beneficial, you know, for the Muslim, he applied it. Okay, and all these matters, you know, tells you about how you... Then, next day after being Khalifa, I see, he listened to the other, get his involvement, he involved himself. He is not, even when he listened to the other opinion, he's not going to close his eyes and ears, you know, and just, these people, they said so, and I'm going to go by it. He's going to have his input. So when he became Khalifa, next day, he went to the market, has some of those clothes, you know, on his shoulder, and he want to sell them. And Umar said, where are you going? He said, you gave me this very serious task, and this will not prevent me of earning money for my family. I want to feed my family. And he said, no, you cannot do so now. Sayyidina al-Khattab, he said, you cannot do it now. Now you have much more important tasks, you know, to be done. We are going to give you a salary from the Bayt al-Mal treasury, okay? Not as the best of us, nor as the least of us, in the middle. You cannot now go, okay? You should just stay handling the state needs, you know, the needs of the state, and we are going to give you a salary. I said, okay. But you see, you feel, even though Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq accepted this, he has some problem in his heart. That's why, when he was about to die, he told his children, I have a land, you know, in so and so place. You sell it and send all the money I took from the treasury of Bayt al-Mal, send it back to Umar ibn al-Khattab. And he did not take any penny, okay? He said yes, and he took the salary or whatever, and apparently he was counting them, you know, how much he got, you know, and before his death, he sold one of his land to pay back all money that he consumed, you know, from the Muslim, you know, community. And this just to tell you, again, this story really tells you that he listened to the others, he go according to the wishes of the others, and sometimes he may not like it, and is going to find a solution, personal solution. Okay? يعني as a communal one, he accepted what Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab said, but in his personality, he did not like the idea to get the money from the Muslim. And he paid his land, to pay back, okay. One other problem, not a problem, other story, alhamdulillah, no problem at all, we are too happy, to speak about Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Siddiq. But one of the stories, and you should pay attention to it a lot. When he was assigned to be the Khalifa, he said, listen, you are going to make busy in this and you have free time. No, I assign you, Umar bin Khattab, you are the judge, You are the head of the court of Medina al-Munawwara. Okay, you are the judge. Because I have too busy time, I cannot handle all of these matters, and you should help me. You see, again, he was pioneering in many of these matters, as you may see. And Sayyidina Umar Khattab, he will listen to Sayyidina Abu Bakr, as we said, the common thing between them is respect each other, listen to each other, even though they have differences, okay? And this is a lesson for us, okay? It's not wrong, to have different idea or opinion than me. But what's wrong, I'm sorry to tell you, the behavior that we have nowadays. Easily, we'll call the other one kafir. See? And here, those high figures, they used to have different opinion. I would rather say, in one hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that they are his ministers, Abu Bakr and Umar. And he told them, the Prophet ﷺ told them, if you are going to have agreement on all of the issues that I consulted you for, I'm not going to go except according to your consultation. But your problem is similar to the problem of people of heaven, because I have two ministers there, and they keep argue with each other, about these matters. Okay? And here the point that I'm trying to say, they used to have different opinion, they used to have different idea. Sometimes they may argue with each other, but they highly respect each other. And you see, really the previous story that I mentioned, how Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq accepted the salary, and then he had his smart idea to have all money returned back, to the Islamic treasury. So he assigned Umar bin Khattab. Sayyidina Umar bin Khattab stayed there. I don't know where, in what office, He stayed there in the Ministry of Justice. After 1 year, he applied for resignation. I went to resign. Why? He said, Ya Khalifat Rasulullah, I stayed there for 1 year. No one did come to me. What a community is this community, You have complete 1 year without having any problem, to apply a case, against so and so. He said, no point, of working there, because I did not do anything, For 1 year, I don't have even one case to judge. And the last thing to speak about what he was pioneers, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that he was the first one among the khulafa to assign the khilafah for one person after him. Okay, the Prophet ﷺ did not assign for anyone. Sayyidina Umar bin Khattab chose 6 to have one of them, and Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was the one who started this idea of assigning the khilafah for one person. I think we'll stop here now, inshallah, because it's roughly 10 minutes, before Adhan. If there is any question, we'll try to answer. Apparently no.
Question.
Yes,
in
go ahead.
Quran, Allah Ta'ala has mentioned, Quran fi lawhin mahfuz.
Yes.
So it was already revealed that the Quran is already been
kept,
preserved
so and kept for us.
So why this Khalifa were having doubt?
Good question.
Yeah.
Okay. We learn from the Prophet ﷺ. He is our master, okay? The Prophet ﷺ, from the very early day, he was told that your religion is going to have the manifestation over all religions. What did he do? He went back home, and relaxed. What did he do? He spent all of his time, sacrificed a lot, okay? And please, we shouldn't mix the two items together, okay? You have something given to you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which go under what we said, وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ, and you have something, it's your duty, okay? You and me, we believe in dignity or predestination, okay? But we should work hard. If I did not pray, let's say Maghrib, and Isha is about to enter, I should rush now, and make wudu. I'll not sit here and say, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to pray Maghrib, I'm going to pray Maghrib. You see? And that's why, here, those great people, one of their specialties, Sayyidina Abu Bakr and the other, that they have much more, better understanding of the meaning of qadar than ourselves. Yes.
قلت بأن عمر بن أبو بكر قال حديث عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه نحن معشر الأنبياء لا نورث وما تركناه صدقة.
Yes.
لكن فاطمة الزهراء رضي الله عنها احتجت بالحديث بالآية القرآنية وورث سليمان داود فنفت الحديث السابق.
With full respect for you, this is the way you look at it? This is the way you look at it? I respect you, but I don't respect this look, at all. Because I'm going to, let's say, tell you about the look of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, okay? Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq,
Do you want to repeat the question?
the question that how come Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said that the inheritance of the Prophet will not go to his relatives, when we have in the Holy Quran, وَوَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانُ دَاوُدَ, okay? That means in the Quran, there's confirmation of inheritance. And before going to Sayyidina Abu Bakr, I would like to ask you, if you are familiar, how many children Sayyidina Dawood has?
ولماذا ترد بسؤال على سؤال؟
Because I want to clarify this point. I'm going to answer it. And if you have any problem with it, say it's incorrect, okay? Sayyidina Dawood, as mentioned, in the books, he has 11 child or more, okay? Why did Allah say, وَوَرِثَ سُلَيْمَانُ دَاوُودَ? Why? I should ask myself this question. That means Sayyidina Sulaiman did not inherit from his father the assets or the house. He inherited from him the knowledge, the prophethood. Okay? He did not inherit the assets because Sayyidina Dawood has 11 child. Okay? And here mentioned specifically about Sayyidina Sulaiman that he was the only one inherited Dawood. Okay. This is the first point. The second point, I don't respect my analysis here, but really I highly admire and respect the response of Sayyidina Abu Bakr, because he went to Sayyida Fatima when she said, it's not about inheritance. She said, again this to correct your idea, Sayyida Fatima did not reject the narration. What she said, that Fadak was given to her by the Prophet ﷺ. Okay? Just correct your idea. It wasn't inheritance matter. Sayyida Fatima did not reject this. Okay? So, Sayyida Fatima told Sayyidina Abu Bakr that she was given this from the Prophet ﷺ. He said, listen, he said, have you heard this from the Prophet ﷺ yourself? If you say yes, I'm going to give you without evidence or proof. She said, no, I did not hear it from the Prophet. But Ayman said so. He said Ayman is not enough as a witness. Okay, you got this point? Here, Sayyida Fatima had difference with Sayyidina Abu Bakr was not about inheritance. It was about the statement that was given to her, the land was given to her during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And she wanted to take it, and he asked her thoroughly, have you heard this from the Prophet ﷺ? If you said yes, I'm going to give it to you without evidence. And he'll hold the responsibility. He's going to sell another land or something. Okay? She said no. She is too truthful and honest one, Sayyidi Fatim. She said, no, I never heard this from the Prophet ﷺ. But Ayman said so. He said, Ayman in the judgment is not enough as a witnesses, because we read in the Quran, you should have 2 males or 1 male and 2 females. Okay? Other questions? Ya Latif. We'll stop here, inshallah.